from Pines Presbyterian Church.
And I'm Pastor Emily from First Presbyterian Church.
We've got a great big story for you today. It's the story of Daniel. You don't want to miss it. Take it away, Pastor Emily.
All right, everybody, are you ready for a really good story? Maybe you've heard of this guy. His name is Daniel, and he was thrown into a lion's den. Whew, let's rewind for a second. How did he get there? Well, see, Daniel used to work for a king. In fact, he was like the king's right-hand man. That meant that the king counted on him for lots of stuff. Well, one day, some other people who worked in the palace got very jealous of Daniel's position. And so they wondered to themselves, what makes Daniel different so we can pick on him? Well, Daniel was Jewish. He believed in God, and only one God. And so these people, they got together and they started scheming evil plans. And they came up with a law that they were going to give to the king. And it was in tiny writing. And the king didn't pay too much attention to those papers he was signing. You know, unfortunately, this happens all the time. So this king, he trusted those people. And he said, I trust your decisions. I'm going to sign this law. What did the law say? It said that you cannot worship anyone but the king. You can't worship God. You had to worship the king. And so therefore, Daniel, who would not give up his God, was in violation of the law. And the law also said anybody who breaks this law gets eaten by lions. When the king found out, he was devastated. But the law was the law, and he had his name signed on it. So they took Daniel, and they threw him down into the lion's den. And surely they thought he would be dead by the morning, for the lions were hungry. So they covered up the den, and they waited. Now Daniel, he saw the lions, and he backed himself into a corner. And he began to pray. He said, Dear God, please spare me, please. Promise I wasn't trying to do anything wrong, please. And the lions, they went to sleep. They didn't want to eat Daniel. God was there. An angel appeared and kept the lions away from him. Now the next morning, the king came down with his men to check to see what had become of Daniel. Surely he was gone, and the king was ready for the horrible news, but they rolled back what was over the den. And there was Daniel, alive. It was a miracle. And they said, wow, surely this man was protected by God. You know, this is a Bible hero who shows us the power of faith and the power of prayer. You know, when you pray, God hears you every single time. God always is listening for your prayers. And God makes us strong. Now I'm going to let Pastor Cindy tell us a little bit more about this hero. Pastor Cindy?
Wow! So Daniel was thrown into a lion's den just because he believed in God? That's crazy! I can't imagine that happening to me today. But you know what? Despite him knowing that he could be thrown into the lion's den, he still insisted on praying to our God in heaven because he knew it was the right thing to do. Now, we might not face the same sort of persecution. That means basically to suffer from what you believe in, to cause some sort of suffering just because you believe something different. But I can imagine like being at school and being teased because I might believe something different than my friends. I can imagine being ignored because I believe something different. That's all happened. But there's still places in the world today where Christians are killed because of what they believe. Still in 2020. That's crazy. But you know what Jesus said? In John 15:20, Jesus said, don't worry. you are going to be persecuted because I'm persecuted. And that doesn't mean that we should fear whatever is coming or whatever could come. Just like Daniel, he was a true hero because he still loved and obeyed God despite knowing that he could be fed to lions. Despite knowing that we could be ignored or teased, we can still be true heroes by trusting and loving in our God. I know that there's probably not going to be a lion's den for you or me. No, not in these days. Not in these days. But we still need to trust in God, love our God, and stay strong because that's what a true hero does. God will give us the way. God will help us to keep trusting and to keep obeying. And that is a true hero.
Whoa! Daniel! I can't even believe that story! How incredible! I am so glad I got to learn more about him, and I bet you are too. Let's keep learning more about him in our Bibles, and we'll be back in 2 more days to learn about another awesome hero. Meet me back here then. In the meantime, you know it, be strong,
be brave,
and